Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to sew this beautiful short dress you're seeing on the screen. If this is the kind of video you feel like watching, please hit the subscribe button and let's begin. So guys, as you can see on the work table, I have my fabric laid out and I have 2 yards of my Ankara here, okay? And then for the other one, which is the plain, I have about 1 yard here. I'm going to be making use of 1.5 yards at a hole if you don't have a bias, okay, for it. And then I also have my pattern paper. I'm going to take this and set it aside and then I will start drafting for the dress. The first thing I did was to turn my fabric on the wrong side, okay? And then I'm going to fold it twice. You can see how I'm folding. I'm making the first fold at a horizontal line and then the other one is folded vertically, which made it a double fold. So next thing I'm going to do now is just to turn the side I'm going to start drafting with. So this is the outer seam and this inner part where you see my folds are the inner seam, okay? So this is how it looks. I'm going to be drafting from the inner place, which is this side, okay? So I'll get my drafting tools like my tape rule and my chalk, and the first thing I'm going to do is to measure the length of which I want. So this is a very short dress, but the length depends on what you need, okay? You can choose to make it to get to length 40 if you don't want to expose your thighs, but my client doesn't want to expose her thighs, so I'm going to take the length of 41 inches in total. For the Ankara, I'm going to be leaving the length at 34 inches, okay? And then I'm just going to complete the rest of the dress with the plain fabric I showed you guys earlier. So just go ahead and take your length like this, place your tape rule this way, and then measure what you have for the Ankara. Then you get your plain fabric which you're going to use and combine the dress and take out a piece of it to complete the length of the dress, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is to take your bust point measurement. For my client, I'm going to be measuring 11.5 inches, and from there I will go ahead and minus what I want to use for the yoke of the dress. So I'll go ahead and mark 7 inches like you see me doing, and then also I'm going to place my tape rule this way and measure the shoulder measurements from the fold, and then I will just go ahead and mark it, which is 9 inches. Next thing I'm going to do now is to extend the length of the shoulder measurement, okay? So because we are not cutting sleeve for this dress, we're going to be measuring the sleeve together with the dress. We're not going to be cutting it out. So you can go ahead and cut 15 inches from the fold of your dress or even 20 inches depending on the length that you need. Now the next thing I did was to take out 3 inches more from the shoulder measurement because I want the dress to fall away from the shoulder. I don't want it to sit on the shoulder, so that's why I just took out 3 inches. And the next thing I did was to curve it out, and then I created the shape which I'm going to take away from the dress. So this is what I'm going to cut out. Go ahead and leave about half of an inch for joining, and then all you need to do is to cut out the yoke. Also leave half of an inch there for joining to your yoke. Now this is what I had for the yoke. I'm going to cut out the neckline for our dress. So I'll be measuring 4 inches for the width, and then I'm also going to measure 3 inches for the depth. After marking, the next thing I did was just to create a rounded shape like this for the neckline, which is the standard, and I'm just going to cut it out as well. So guys, before cutting out your neckline, go ahead and mark the back neckline. What I did was the front neckline, which is 3 inches. So go ahead and mark the back neckline. It can be 1.5 inches, it can be 2 inches. After cutting it out, I cut out the front neckline as well. So this is what it looks like. You can see the back and the front, which is looking different. The next thing I'm going to do is to lay it out on my pattern paper and then press it to stay flat. So guys, after pressing, I said to cut out and trim out the paper. Then I remembered that the yoke doesn't have any sewing allowance, so I added it on the paper because I'm actually going to be creating a basket with the bias I had. Now I'm going to trim out the neckline for the yoke on the paper. This is going to be the base which we use to achieve and sew our bias on, okay? In case you're using a bias, go ahead and just line it up on this yoke. Now next thing you're going to do is to fold it and create a crease on the horizontal part of the paper and also the vertical part of this paper, so that you have a crease line on every 4 cardinal points on it, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is to use this crease line to create a straight line, a grid line that will cross on each other. So guys, after I was done drawing the lines, the next thing I did was to measure the points where I want to stitch the bias on. Okay, so go ahead and just place your tape all this way and mark 2 inches to 2.5 inches depending on the width and wideness of what you want to achieve on the yoke. Okay, so after marking all this, go ahead and mark it on other parts of the lines as well, just to create a uniformed stitches. Now go ahead and connect those dots into a straight line, just like this, vertically and horizontally as well. And next, you're going to be needing a strip of fabric to create your bias with. So I cut out as many as I want so that I can be able to use it to follow the lines which I had drawn on the pattern paper. Go ahead and stitch it on the paper, one after the other. After you're done stitching the vertical lines, go ahead and stitch the horizontal lines to cross them as well. This is what I had after I was on stitching everything. You need to double stitch it on both sides of the lines to create a really strong base for the line, so that when you remove your paper, everything is going to be looking solid. So next thing I'm going to do is to split the back of the yoke. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. Since there is a zipper at the back of our dress, I'll go ahead and split this yoke and then close it as well to complete it, so that I have a zip running there. In case you don't want to put zip, go ahead and use your hook and eye to connect it later in the dress. Now I'm going to stitch the neckline as well and get back to you guys. This is what I had after I was on stitching that of the neckline and the other bias that went through the back piece of the yoke. Okay, and this is the front, so I just want to have an opening there. That's why I went ahead to split it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to stitch it around on our dress. This is our dress. Okay, this is the center of our dress, the center piece where I notched, and also it's aligning with the center piece of our yoke on the paper. So I'm just going to attach them together with the 1/2 inch I kept for the sewing allowance. After joining, this is what I had. This is how beautiful it came out looking like. I'm going to show you guys how the back piece looks like. Okay, so this is what I had after I was on joining the back. I have an excess of fabric coming out on the center like this. I'm going to trim it away. This is because there is no slant at the shoulders. Now I'm going to also attach my hook and eye here, okay, just like you see me pointing. And then for the zipper, I'm just going to leave about 1 inch and trim out 1/2 of an inch here. I'm just going to trim it out halfway on the dress. Heading towards the fabric I'm going to be using as gathers for my dress, I've gone ahead to cut out and divide 1 yard of fabric into 7 pieces of long strip of fabric. Okay, I have about 6 pieces here. I'm going to join them together to make a really long strip of fabric so that I can use it to gather on my dress all around. So this is what I had after I was done making my gathers. Okay, this is how gather I made it. I didn't have too much of a pleat there, so I'm just going to take away this paper on the dress and then insert my zipper on the back. To insert your zipper, I'll just go ahead now and just like use my scissors to split it open. Remember, I'm going to take away 1/2 inch on it because I have about 3 inches there. So taking it on cutting it out on fold means I'll be taking out 1/2 of an inch, and then I have 1 inch each for the zipper. I'm just going to take the measurement for the body measurements, okay, which I'll be using to shape the dress. So I'm taking the bust point, the waistline, which is the 1/2 length, and then I'll take out the hip line. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and connect it with a ruler and then draw a straight line. I'm taking this measurement on the front of the dress, on the right side of the dress. So go ahead and impute the 1/4 of your bust circumference on the bust line, and also on the waistline impute the 1/4 of your waist circumference. Please, there's no ease allowance on this dress because we are going to be using a zipper instead, so we are going to be zipping it down and it's going to be fitting correctly. Now also head over to the hip line and mark the 1/4 of your hip circumference. Remember to put your fabric on fold while marking this, and after marking your points, take your ruler and connect the lines just as you have marked. Okay, so follow your body measurement the way it appears on the dress. When you get to the hip line, please go ahead and use your pants cuff to connect it and just mark it like this. After doing that, you go ahead and draw out the lines correctly and then stitch it on the sewing machine starting from this part. Don't worry about the armhole. The bust point line will give you about 10-inch depth for your armhole. So just start your stitches from there. I'm going to head over to the machine and stitch it, and also detach the paper I used as a base and template for my yoke. So guys, go ahead and place your dress this way on the sewing machine and then stitch it on that line which you have created for your body measurement. You're going to stitch from the bust point line all through the way on the waistline and then stop at the hip line measurement, okay? Ensure that everything is equal, you backstitch, and that is it for the dress. So this is how it came out looking like after I was done. You can see that my client's dress is longer. You can choose to make yours shorter depending on your preferences, okay? So this is how everything came out looking like. This is the sneak peek of the dress. I hope you guys are loving the outcome as much as I do. Thank you guys for watching. Also remember to like, subscribe, and share this video to people that might want to see it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching and bye.